Hi there, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I had people ask for me to show them me painting something. And I at first was like, why on earth would somebody want to see that? No, but all seriously, I didn't know what to paint. So, what I've decided, because I know there's all different levels of people out there trying to, maybe try to learn how to paint something. Maybe they haven't done it much art for, a very long time. So what I figured I would do is do a painting of a Zen-style balanced rock, or rocks, I should say. I've painted this a few times, and I really like doing it. It's a practice in painting in a way that you're working on a whole lot of different things, because as you're going to see, there's shadow involved and perspective, and you're painting different sized and shaped objects, and you have to learn to use colors and things like that. So anyways, I think it would be useful to do that. And plus, it's something that I dig the style. Lately, I've been on a minimalist painting thing. And what I mean by that is, if you've looked at any of the, Chinese or Japanese Zen-inspired paintings, they have a kind of a very cool vibe to them. They are imperfect, which makes them perfect. And I really like that, because we're all kind of like that. We're all imperfect and kind of perfect because we're imperfect. And I think that's something that is awesome about life and about all of us imperfect human beings. And when you learn that lesson in this life, I think you are less judgmental, you are less quick to anger, you're kinder, and you appreciate the world around you a little bit more. So that's a big lesson to get from some cool Zen-style balanced rocks. But without further ado, let's paint. And before we do it, if you could, and you are truly awesome, could you please subscribe? And could you like the video? And I would love to hear your comments. Now, be kind. Most of you already have been, and you definitely are. There's all too much negativity in this world, and I think that it's a special thing to do art and to love art, and I hope that we all support each other and try to encourage more people to walk this artistic journey together, because it makes the life that we live far better. So without further ado, this is going to be a bit of a longer video, because I'm going to walk and talk through painting something, but you asked for it. And like I said, like and subscribe, try to get to the end. It's going to be a bit of a long haul, but I think it'll be worth it. All right, so to do this pretty simple and straightforward painting, or you could do it as a drawing too, by the way. You just have to do some of the shading with your pencil, but I'm going to show it as a painting because that's my jam lately. I've got my watercolor paper. I've got my Pentel watercolor pen, or brush, or whatever you want to call this thing. And I've got my awesome Bic Velocity pencil that I absolutely love. I'll put links to all of these things in the comments section. Oh, and of course, this is my fantastic watercolor palette that I did a video on that. So these Zen-style balancing rocks, I really like them. I like the look of it, and I like honestly, I like to paint it. I think it's a good practice in how you paint and how you draw, and getting perspective and shadowing involved. And it's pretty simple. I sometimes will do, that's my bird right beside me. My bird likes to join in on the discussions. What I like to do is work on what I think of as my basics. It's kind of like, you know, if you do anything, say you're playing a musical instrument, sometimes you, or often, every day, you want to work on your scales. And in terms of your art, there's some stuff that you want to always be working on. And trying to get some of this perspective stuff going and the way to use paint and things like that. I think it's a useful thing to maybe not throw it in every single day, but do it fairly often and you're gonna reap the benefits. So we're gonna start drawing. Now you could do this just freehand and paint it, but for those folks that, you know, are trying to figure out how to draw things, let's start there, because I don't mind putting a little pencil on a page and painting. I like it all. To be honest with you, the most important thing is that whole creative process. And end of the day, just have fun doing it. So we're gonna do 5 rocks on here. So the first one, we're gonna make it circular. So my hand's in here, and excuse me for that, but you'll see it in a minute. So I'm just gonna make roughly a circular shape, not a perfect circular shape. Okay, that's the thing, because these are rocks, right? The next one is gonna be a little bit bigger, and it's gonna be, I want it to be kind of oval. So kind of like this. And then I think the one that goes under that is gonna be a little bit more circular, but still kind of oval. Just like that. And you see, I'm not putting it into any sort of real fine detail at all. I'm just plunking it on the page. Just like that. Okay, so think of it as drawing a bunch of potatoes. And then the last one is gonna be roughly the same size as the one you just did. But we're gonna make it a little bit of a different shape. Kind of like that, I think. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're just going to kind of roughly throw on there some cast shadows. So the first one is gonna, we'll work from the top and go down. We're gonna make it kind of like this, okay? So again, don't get too heavy into it. This is just the gist of what we're doing. The next one, I'm going to make it kind of like that, if you can see what's going on, right? The next one, I'm gonna start it here, and it's gonna come around like this and kind of curve back. And then the last one, I'm going to start it somewhere, I guess around here, okay? And I'm going to just put another blob on there, just like that. And down at the very bottom, I'm going to put the shadow that's on the ground. So it's going to come around, kind of just like that. Okay? Very rough shapes. And believe me, it looks like kindergarten, and that's okay. Don't worry about it too much. So that's pretty much all we're going to do with our pencil for now. All right. Like I said, though, if you were doing this with a pencil, then from there you're just going to start doing the same thing that I'm going to do with the watercolor paint with the pencil instead. So to start off with, by the way, I just have a napkin, and that's what I use to get rid of paint. I'm going to try not to knock over the camera while I'm doing this because it's literally right under me. So all I'm going to work with is basically browns, 2 types of brown, and black. And that's it, okay? And I'm not going to mix any other colors, believe it or not. So I'm going to start just with this brown here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trace kind of the outline of this first rock. Okay, just like this. And you know what? It's not going to be perfect for 2 reasons. Number 1, it doesn't have to be perfect. And number 2, I don't want it to be perfect. It's a rock. I remember my grandmother, when I was a kid, used to tell me that nothing in nature and nothing in life is perfect. And what we need to do, she was a painter, by the way, what we need to do is look at things with different eyes as artists. And that's kind of stuck with me. The other thing that's really stuck with me that she said was that as artists, we need to realize that nothing that we see or nothing that we paint is really what it looks like. The closer you look at something, for instance, you'll see that it is many colors, not just one. So with this one, as you can see, I left a lighter spot in the center, and I'm going to be doing that with all of the rocks, because obviously if there's shadow, that means there's light on this, right? So then I'm going to go back to that same color, and I'm going to darken it up a bit. And I do it kind of haphazardly, to be honest with you. I don't get too hung up on, you know, what I'm doing. I'm more hung up on what I'm gonna get. And that's the thing, I'm creating, right? And the cool thing with watercolors is you can go back and you can fix things up. It doesn't really matter. Like, I just went out of my line there, and honestly, I'm not gonna lose sleep about it anyways, even if I did. This is for me and for this video. You know, if somebody wanted to buy this, I would still probably do it the same way. I'm not too overly concerned. So as you see, I'm darkening this rock up. And I'm doing it by kind of just splotting, if that's a word, splotting, paint on it. And we're gonna come back to that in a minute, okay? Because I need to darken some up as well. So the next one I'm gonna do it a bit lighter. And actually, you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll throw down some brown there, and then, oh, I should probably clean off my brush. And this is all I do to clean off the brush, by the way. I just kind of, I don't even know, smudge it. So I'm gonna take a little bit of white, and I'm gonna throw that together with that brown and come up with a different color. And let's put that on the next one. So it's just a bit lighter than the other one was. I might make it even lighter than that. Let's get some more white going. I like art being a bit messy. I'm not gonna lie. I like it messy and imperfect. And my reason for that is I've always thought that, you know what, if you wanted this to look 100% real, take a picture. It's art. It's an interpretation. It's not a photographic representation. We have invented pretty good cameras that do stuff like that. So that's what I'm gonna do with that one. So see how it's lighter than that last one. That's what I want. And then I'm going to go to my next brown and just kind of take some off. And I'm gonna, oops, I took too much off. And I'm gonna go in and add a little bit more in here. Now, what I like about this, whatever you want to call this, water brush, is that I can just squeeze it and I get more water. Look at that. So I can, like I said, I like it a bit messy. I can messy it up even more. And when it dries with watercolor, it looks really cool that way. Right? So, something along these lines. So a different color than the last one. And that's okay. We're gonna go back to all of these as we continue. Okay, so the next one, let's make it a bit dark. Not super dark, but dark enough. So this is a bit too dark from what I want, but that's okay. We'll we'll figure it out. Here's my reflective surface there. So I'm going to put down this color. I guess I can go in there too. Doesn't matter, I'm going to be putting a shadow in there in a minute anyways. So I'm going to go around like this. You see, like I said, I'm just throwing down paint. This kind of Zen vibe that I'm going for with these is the important part. So I'm not trying to get a painting that is, how could I put it? I'm not looking for perfection. I'm actually looking for almost like spontaneity, right? I'm just gonna kind of mix some of this gray in with that black because I want it to be just a different kind of shade. What I like about working with watercolors is you can really go in there and mess around with the colors a bit. I'll probably come back, play around with that one a little bit more. We'll see. All right. This is already, I know where this is headed. It's just seeing it how it is now, and it's going to be pretty neat. I like it. All right. Let's throw on some darker brown. This is a dark brown rock. I don't know. Maybe it's going to look more like a potato. Who doesn't love potatoes? I imagine there's somebody somewhere who doesn't like potatoes, but you're no friend of mine if you don't like potatoes. No, I'm sure you might have reasons for it, but potatoes are pretty awesome. But this is not a painting of balancing potatoes, it is balancing rocks. So we'll just make this look more rock-like as it goes on. And so what I'm doing right now is basically putting down that main color. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put that little light spot. That means I'm gonna have to make it darker around there. It'll be all right. I'm not overly concerned either way. Look how these ones are drying already. Like those, that looks pretty neat. I like that. I like the vibe. All right, and then the last one, we're gonna make that one darker. So, might as well throw the shadow in there already. So this will be the cast shadow. And I literally just get in there and kind of plunk it in. And these circular movements with this brush, I've found work really well in getting that watercolor activated. Right? And then I'm going to finish this rock off. And this is, like I said, this is really the first go over. Okay, and you'll see what I mean soon. This is just what's happening right now. It will all make sense as things go on. You know, need some more black paint soon. I'm starting to get thin on the black. But that happens. I've been doing a lot of experimentation with minimalist, kind of Zen-inspired painting lately, and I've used a lot of black. I just think that it looks neat when you do that. So, come in like this. This one doesn't look like a potato. Let's put a little bit more color in here. Or shading, I guess you could say. I don't like how that dips in there. Just gonna play around with that edge. Now, I just squeezed it, which will let me move some of this paint around. You see how I'm just kind of being a little bit rough with it. Being rough, but I'm not being mean. So after I play around with some of the paint like that, I like to take most of the paint off of the brush. Then I just kind of go in and mess about. Because sometimes I want the paint more at the bottom. Sometimes I want it more mixed in, which is what I'm gonna do along the edge here a bit. I want that edge to be a little bit more defined. Good. Okay, so now, without cleaning my brush, I'm gonna go up to the next level because I want to get that edge a little darker. I'm gonna get a little bit of paint on there. Just like this. Along the edge where the two rocks are kind of coexisting. And then I'm going to squeeze it. And really kind of, like I said, be a little rough with that paint. Because I'm actually joining them together. Then I just kind of like to do a little bit of a dab. Not the dab like the kids dance. Dab like the word actually means. I think I'll go back and get some more of this dark brown too. Darker at the bottom. Sometimes that happens, it gets darker and then it kind of dries up a bit. So you have to play with it a little bit, and that's okay. That's why we paint, because we play with it. All right, got to do a bit of the shadow on there, so I need some more of the black. I'm going to come back here. Just join up these two. If I'm quieting up, it's because I'm trying not to totally mess up that one rock. If you can imagine, I'm trying to paint over top of a camera, so thank you for your patience. Over top and around. That looks okay. I'm going to use some more of that black and just add it in, because why not? Because like I said, my Nan says everything has... Oh, my dogs are going crazy. Sorry about that. That would be the mailman. The joys of having a dog. Actually, it's all joys having a dog. They're our early warning system. And then we're gonna add some more into here. Or maybe the dog is saying that this painting is starting to look pretty cool. The dog's name is Frig. She'll do that for a few minutes and then she'll stop. I hope. Or maybe she really wants to be on camera too. That's possible. Now, the hard part in here is, well, it's not really hard. None of this is hard. I'll see she's now quieted down again. I don't know why dogs don't like letter carriers. It's kind of funny, actually. Because they see the same person coming every day, you'd think they'd be like, oh, there's my friend. Never happens. It's like, how dare you come to my house and deliver something that apparently this human that I live with wants. Anyhow, thank goodness she stopped, or I'd have to start all over again. So yeah, I'm just, like I did with that last rock, I'm coming back and doing the same thing again to this guy. Darkening up parts. All right, let's go up to that next one. Gotta do the same thing. Trying to be careful not to put my hand into the paint. Like I said, I'm trying to do this moving around the camera without knocking it over. There we go. And the same thing, I think I'm going to put a little bit darker at the bottom. And then I'll mix this together a bit. It just makes it pop a little bit more, you know what I mean? I'll do the same with this guy, put some more color into that top one. Seems that I paid lots of attention to this first rock and not as much on the others. I think I want some more down here too. Oh, I have to do that shadow as well. For me, painting is not normally like I'm doing it and talking and everything like this. It's kind of, for me, it's therapeutic and meditative, and I tend to prefer to just kind of be quiet and let the work come. So it's a little bit different that I'm talking while I'm doing this. For me, I'm not, really used to explaining how I do things, which is probably, it's a good thing. I'm being forced to do something I wouldn't normally do. And that's always a good thing in this life. Too often we just follow the same habitual patterns and we never really learn in this life. It's nice to sometimes grow and learn in new ways, do things differently than we've done before. I like that. All right, this is interesting. That middle one, oh no, I'd like to, oops, I don't want that much color. Have to play around with this a little bit. I think of what I'm doing now is making something imperfectly perfect, if that makes any sense. That's the way I look at it. Imperfectly perfect. It's kind of like our lives in the world, right? Right. This is not looking too bad. Forgot about the shadow at the bottom. I should probably throw that in. And of course the camera's in literally the wrong place for me. It's in a pretty good place for you. But I'm literally hovering over the camera right now, trying not to knock it over. It's like trying to paint around a corner. Can't entirely see what I'm doing. Oh my Lord. It's okay. I was reading about recently, I think I mentioned this in a video, I was reading about the Fluxus art movement, and what they believed was that what matters the most is the creative process and not actually the finished product. And that's one of the many things, but that concept I really like. I'm not saying that because, you know, any particular reason, but I think that it's very true. I think that art speaks to us for a reason, and the process of making it and immersing yourself in it and seeing things with different eyes, that is so important. It's one thing to go through our lives and, you know, think that we are our jobs and all these other things we fill our lives and our time with, but it's something else completely to start to see that there's far more to this life. There's more to, you know, why we're here. There's more to the world around us. And I think our art helps us to wrap our head around that and make sense with it. It's very easy to live our life with blinders on and to believe that we are our jobs, that we are, you know, all these things that we fill all this time with that actually doesn't really matter as much as, you know, we sometimes come to see. Well, the things that matter the most are creating, loving, and living. You know, none of us are going to get out of this life alive. So our art is kind of our way of making sense of all of that, making it matter, making it into something. This is shaping up to be something pretty neat. So now what I do, as you can see, it's fairly much getting there. What I do from here with a painting like this is now I just kind of get in there and fine tune things a bit. So fine tuning in terms of you know, painting for me just means either lightening things up or darkening things up and not getting too heavy into any of it. I just have to try to bring some more life to this. Right? So for instance, this rock, if there's that shadow, should be a little bit darker along the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to just make that join in. See? And when it dries, well, it's going to look a bit different than it does right now, actually, when it dries. Which is kind of neat. It's very neat, actually. Because then kind of magic happens in a lot of ways, right? This painting thing becomes something that gets its own life. And yeah, I'm adding different color brown into this one. Just to accent it a little bit differently. Then same thing, it's a little wet still on the bottom there, so I'll go up to the one that's a little bit higher. I need to put a bit of a similar edge along that one too. So as you're seeing, none of this is rocket science. What it is, though, is a heck of a lot of fun and good for your soul. And if you're doing this, like I said, like I kind of prefer to do it, kind of making it kind of a, I guess I'd call it a meditative process, then I think you get even more out of it. I like the idea of just letting the art come out on its own, let it have its own life. And I'm just kind of an instrument to getting it there. Cool, I like that one. And like as you see, well, it's mostly because I'm trying to do this around the camera, but I've gone outside of the lines, and frankly, I don't care. Right? It doesn't really matter to me if I'm inside the lines or outside of the lines. It doesn't matter at all. What matters the most is the process of doing it, to be honest. People put too much on themselves. You know, when you hear people say that, I don't know how to paint. Well, yeah, you do. You totally know how to paint. It's just a matter of doing it. It's just like anything in this life, right? We can come up with excuses like we can't do something. Excuses come easy, but we're all able to do stuff. It doesn't matter to you. Do you want to do it? Right? That's the telling part. Because if it does matter to you, you're going to do it. So I'm just, none of these lighter parts would be white, completely clear, right? So I'm just bringing that down a bit. Then this guy. I like that one. I like how the colors turned out. Cool. I'm digging it. That looks pretty neat so far. The bottom one, the one I can't see the most because the camera is literally in the way. I'm just gonna try to do that edge a bit more like I've done with the others. And again, hopefully not knock down the tripod. So what I would really love to see is you do one of these and make a video and let me see it. Just, or even take a photo, and show it that way. Let's fill our world with cool art. We could all use a little bit more chilled out Zen in our lives, right? I usually don't like that stereotypical, use of the word Zen, but at the same time, who cares? There we go. Oh, this is looking pretty neat. All right, I'm gonna darken up a couple of these shadows a bit, I think. And then we'll probably just leave it at that. Because this is not meant to be perfect. I'm actually spending more time on this for you. This is not supposed to be perfect. It is supposed to be, especially in my view of it, and I am a Zen Buddhist, actually, by the way. I'll talk more about that some other time, but what this is supposed to be is just a chilled vibe. Just you at peace. At you expressing the essence of these balancing rocks. Yeah, I like that. What I like about watercolors is that they bleed together. I love the way that the paint mixes in with the paper. It becomes, well, to use a Zen kind of thing, it becomes one with the paper. And I love that. I kind of look at life like we are all joined together. We are all together. We just perceive ourselves as separate. And because we get ruled by our perceptions. And doing art, especially in a way like this, that you're not too hung up on it. You know what I mean? I honestly could care less if I'm inside the lines or outside of the lines. I'm just trying to, well, kind of be at peace and be at one and find the essence of these rocks and myself. Of course, these rocks that I painted are just in my brain. But in a lot of ways, everything that we see is just in our brain too, isn't it? Maybe those are too deep thoughts, but it's the way I look at things. Okay. Just going to extend this shadow a bit, because that makes sense. And I think I'm going to do the same up here. Yeah. This is pretty neat. I kind of like, at first I didn't like how it was bleeding in here, but now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I actually really like it like that. Just going to add some more highlights in places. It's kind of like that. And along this edge too, I think. Now sometimes with my paintings I like to go over the outside of it with a pen, but I don't think I'm going to do that with this. I kind of I like the, like I said, the imperfection, which is in itself kind of perfection. Oops, nearly knocked the camera over again. You don't know how lucky you are that I haven't knocked it over. Yeah. Cool. Let me see. What else do I want to do here? That might actually be close to it. Actually, I'm going to darken up this guy because the colors came out a little bit, or the dark came out a bit, which is fine. Thing is, when you're doing a painting like this, you don't really want to have all of the rocks the same color. You know, you go down to the beach and take an actual look at rocks, and you'll find out that none of them are the same, which is pretty cool. You know, it has its own thing going on. I've thought a lot recently over the fact that this planet is billions of years old. And in all those billions of years, you haven't existed, but now you do. You're like this amazing thing that you've managed to be here. And then the question is what are you going to do with that? You know, there's a lot of people that they aren't going to do much with that, and that's a bit of a shame, because we've all got this cool opportunity to live some pretty awesome lives. We can paint, and we can live, and we can do things, and that in of itself is a pretty cool thing. All right. So now I'm going to take all of the water off of my brush again, and I'm just going to go to these these highlighted areas, and I'm going to just kind of do this. So I'm opening it up a bit. And then when that dries, it'll dry differently than it looks right at the moment. This is my potato rock. There's probably lots of potato rocks in the world. Maybe you have potato rocks around you. You can already see how those are drying off. It looks more like that light. All right. That's not half bad. I like it. So there you go. I can honestly say I have never done a painting that I have to somehow climb over a camera to do. And I don't think that turned out too bad. So I'm gonna let it dry, and then we'll take another look at it and see how it looks. And we may add some more to it, or we may not. But I'm thinking that is probably where it's gonna stay, because I kind of like how it looks right now. Although the way I do things is if I don't walk away from it, I'll just keep working on it. Like I'm doing right now as I'm talking and going, oh, I want to put some more color on here. I just love painting. That's the reality. Even when it's, something as awkward as working around a camera, I just love painting. I don't know about you. If you're watching this, you're probably like me, or like you, but you know what I'm saying. You probably share the similar thing that, putting paint on a page, it's a healthy thing to be doing. All right. This isn't half bad. James. I like it. I think I'm just gonna put some more color in here. It's funny because when I paint, I usually pay far more attention to detail. And this is interesting for me because like I said, I'm not used to painting around a camera. So I'm kind of forced to let go a little bit and just kind of do it. All right. And with that, I think I will let it dry and see what we've got on the other side. All right. So I am going to let this dry, and well, you'll see it in 2 seconds, but I'll be right back. All right, you made it to the end. You deserve 3 gold stars at least, maybe 5 gold stars for getting this far through this video. That was fun. It was a little bit weird painting around a camera, I have to admit, but I think I'll do some more of these and have a bit of a series on how to draw, how to paint. So it ended up looking like this. And I don't know about you, but that looks pretty cool to me. I'm pretty impressed with myself. No, I think it's great, right? It is what it is. It's a bunch of rocks piled on each other, just chilling out and being cool. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I would love to see you do it too. So here's my challenge for you, is to make a video of you doing that if you are so inclined, or maybe, just do it. You don't need to necessarily show the world, but I think that painting cool things in a chilled out setting, it can't hurt all of the things that make you you. If anything, it's probably going to make your life and you a whole lot better, a whole lot more chilled out, and maybe even appreciate this life that you've got. Because at the end of the day, man, you might as well appreciate it because it's what you have. I'll see you next time.